This meeting is being recorded.
Well, good. It's 6 o'clock. I'm calling to order this regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Bandera. It's January the 18th, 2022, and we're at City Hall at 511 Main Street. All council members are present. City Administrator is present. City Secretary is present. Our City Attorney is present. And our Marshal, Will Dietrich, is also present back there in the back. Item 2 is invocation and pledge. Will, if you would lead us in prayer, I'd ask you all to stand.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us all together this evening. We'd ask for your blessings upon this meeting. Lord, we'd also ask for your blessings upon this great state and also our great country, Lord. We know that you are the great physician. If anyone can bring us all together again and make us the great country that we once were, you are the one that can do it, Lord. Thank you for this day that we've had. Lord, please convey us all home safely when the meeting is done. Lord, more than anything, thank you for your Son who died upon the cross for our many sins. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas of the flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. New routine. 4 minutes.
Find out quick enough.
Okay, item 3 is visitors to be heard. I know there are several of you here who want to speak this evening, and if you want to speak during the agenda item, you may, but if you want to speak now, you may as well. Has anyone signed up to speak? Thank you. All right, item 4 is the consent agenda. Item A is approval of the minutes from the January 11th, 2022 meeting.
There are none. I didn't get them completed. They'll be on the next agenda
Well,
item.
then we'll move that one to the next agenda. Okay, item 5 is the closed session. I'm going to read this to you, and then I'm going to ask our attorney to spend a few minutes and discuss the process. And Dan, did you want to do that prior to us going into executive session?
Yeah, I mean, you can read the closed session language, but yeah, I would like to walk through the process just so all the citizens and council members who may not have been through this before understand what we're going to be doing, and so that Councilmember Hasty can formally make her request as to where she wants the deliberation to take place.
Thank you. Item A, the City of Bandera will meet in closed session as authorized by Texas Government Code 551.071, Personnel Matters, and Section 551.07, that's 551.074. And 071, consultation with attorney to hear and deliberate regarding a complaint or charge against an officer of the city, to wit, Councilmember Darcy Hasty's alleged conduct that could be in violation of the City Code Section 1.03.255, conduct of city officials and employees, which states that the professional and personal conduct of city officials and employees shall refrain from abusive conduct, personal charges, verbal attacks upon the character or motives of other city officials and employees, board, commissions, and committee members, and the public.
Open.
Thank you. Before we go to that, I want to go ahead and read the second item in the closed session, so we don't have to come back into open session. Item B, the City of Bandera will meet in closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.072, deliberations about real property, to wit, an update from Rob Brown of Texas Land and Right-of-Way on land acquisition for wastewater treatment plant relocation. Dan, you've got the floor.
Yeah, so as council knows that, so one of the great things about the direction that the council has taken over the last few years is there was a conscious decision made by council members at the time that they wanted to adopt a code of ethics and set a standard that they were going to hold themselves to, because neither I nor the city administrator or even the citizens, other than at the polling booth, can hold the council accountable. The only way a council member in a Type A general law municipality can be removed is by a district court. But it doesn't mean that you can't set a standard and then hold each other to that standard. but it's purely the council's process. When these types of complaints come in, y'all were all present in December when a citizen, and I think he's the executive director of the Flying Oak PUD, made a complaint in a council meeting regarding behavior of a council member, and made allegations that that person was acting on behalf of the council, and that y'all gonna pay the bill. I can already answer that question for you, but I don't wanna steal y'all's thunder. So that brings us to today. So that the question is how these are dealt with. And the way I've always dealt with these and how Bandera has dealt with them as well is to place them on the agenda. Council members and just like boards or commissioners fall under personnel for purposes of the Open Meetings Act, even though they're not employees. And we always post it as both personnel and consultation with attorney. The only reason we post consultation with attorney is because you, as the council, if you have legal questions, you have a right to consult with your attorney out of the presence of the public, as well as the presence of, in this instance, Councilmember Hasty. Had a long conversation with Councilmember Hasty along with the City Administrator Jordan last week to make sure she understood the process that I was going to recommend to the council, that I was going to post on the agenda before it was posted because I don't like surprises. And she advised me then, yeah, we're going to do it all in open session, which is perfectly fine. It's her choice when it comes to the deliberation about the matter. Not her choice, and she understands that with regard to any consultation with attorney, that's up to the council. As far as the process and the procedures and how y'all handle this, the technicalities of it and who you hear from, that's entirely up to the mayor as the chair of the council in running this hearing. You all should have copies of the complaint, as does Councilmember Hasty. And it is up to this council what evidence you want to hear, what testimony you want to hear. I do know that there are several people who submitted statements that they wish to be read. They did sign their names so they can be read. And they asked that, and Councilmember Hasty asked that those be done as part of the process itself as opposed to during citizen comments. And so those are here. And then, of course, if there's anybody who wants to give testimony during the item in open session, that is up to the council if you want to hear from those individuals. Any deliberation that you have, though, will be in open session other than consultation with attorney. So, unless there's any questions, that's the process.
Do you wish to go into closed session to discuss this again prior to actually getting into the meat of the matter?
I would.
I'd like to.
Okay. That being said, it's 6:08. I'm going to recess the regular meeting.
Before you recess,
Ma'am?
I'll officially recuse myself from the discussion.
Thank you, Darcy.
'Cause
At
that's the
6:08, I'm
ethical
going to
thing
recess this open meeting, the regular meeting. If y'all would all step out of the room, please. We'll have a little few minutes with our attorney, and we'll call you all right back in. 6:36, I'm reconvening the regular session of City Council, City of Bandera. Darcy has chosen to have this in open session. Council has been provided with the statements from witnesses to the meetings. And since council is about to see the very same recording, the very same meeting, in the interest of time, these will be put into the record, but I will not take the time to read them aloud tonight. Darcy, if you want to proceed. Before you proceed, is there anyone here who wants to speak who did not submit a statement? Yes, ma'am. Your name?
Marion Ernest. Marion, M-A-R-I-A-N. Ernest, E-A-R-N-E-S-T.
And your statement, ma'am?
I would like to speak on behalf of Darcy.
Go ahead.
Yes, Darcy is totally committed to Bandera and has Bandera's interest foremost. And she's a very strong leader. Her integrity is impeccable. She's very, very intelligent. But most of all, she's concerned about Bandera and keeping Bandera real. And I consider myself very, very lucky to live in a community with someone of Darcy's caliber as a leader.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, it's J-A-Y, Call, C-A-L-L.
Go ahead, ma'am.
So I know some of the discussion is the items that were brought forward by the PUD. I attended those meetings. I work for the PUD. Never once did Darcy portray that she was acting as an individual and separate apart from the city council. She made it very clear that she was a member of the city council. So just to clarify that, as sitting in the audience and hearing that, that's how it was portrayed. Never identified as, I'm an individual speaking just for myself. But I am city council. I am a city council member. And the disruptions were very much there, very much intact, to the extent of handing out resignation letters. So,
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else?
Yes,
The gentleman,
go ahead.
Brent Buchanan. My name is Brent Buchanan. I'm a resident of the Flying L Ranch. I've known Darcy for only a few months, but have always been impressed by her honesty, knowledge, integrity, and commitment to her serving her community. I was in attendance in that PUD meetings in question and can only say I was appalled at the attitude expressed by the board to the neighbors gathered there, but especially towards Darcy. It was obvious from the start that both meetings were merely a formality. The public opinion was of no consequence. Our board had made up its mind. Ms. Darcy and others pointed out numerous TOMA violations to the board president, Don Bateman, who replied, "I don't care, and keep them coming." It was a shameful display of disrespect toward the neighbors, process, and reason for the meeting. The summary of what happened was the board screwed up, got caught, and were too embarrassed to acknowledge the violations through I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Ignorance. It was foreign language to the board, and they didn't want to hear it. They continually operated on their own and totally disregarded the TOMA, ADA, and meeting protocols. They have lost their way. Additionally, it must be firmly expressed that never did Darcy represent herself as a city council member and only as a concerned citizen. Evidence has now been established that Steve Childers, the PUD administrator, instigated this complaint on his own and did not represent the PUD board as stated in his complaint. Consequences should fall solely on his shoulders. Darcy Hasty should be cleared of all complaints and allegations, and a formal written apology given to her by Steve Childers for the public display in the Bandera Bulletin post haste. Thank you. I appreciate you letting me speak to you.
thank you, Mr. Buchanan. Ma'am, did you still want to,
Yes,
go ahead.
my name is Jody, Jodi. Last name Minch, Mensch. I just want to start by saying I've only known Darcy for approximately 3 months because we are new to Flying L Ranch. We began attending the Flying L PUD meetings in October, and we have been appalled at the behavior of our PUD. They do not represent us, they do not listen to us. Darcy never once said that she was there on behalf of the city council. She always said she was there as a concerned citizen only for Flying L Ranch, because she spent lots of time at the resort and was concerned about the resort and the sale of our water to Dollar General. All of this information is public record on video, on recordings, minutes of meetings. You can go out and listen to it yourselves so that you will know that what we say is true about Darcy. She has integrity. She only cares about this community and this county and keeping Bandera, and was there to support the residents who are against the Flying L PUD selling our water outside of the ranch. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
You have a hand in.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Doris Lee, and I just want to clarify that several people at the ranch they include me in referring to people as the politicians from a petition group. I'm far from a politician. I did not study politics, nor am I an employee of any political affiliation, and I think for myself. So with that in mind, the first time that I saw Darcy Hasty was at the November 8th PUD meeting, the first I ever attended. I recognized several faces and names, but the only people I could call friends there were the Buchanans and Caroline James. The second time I saw her was at the second meeting on November 21st, the Sunday before Thanksgiving. The rogue attitude from the board toward most of the people in attendance was appalling. It was especially disgusting towards Ms. Hastings. After the cruel and tasteless treatment she received by the PUD president, I extended my hand to meet her formally. I will further discuss my desire to meet her at the end of this comment. I was initially impressed by Ms. Hastings' confidence and her willingness to stand for and with the majority in attendance in opposition to selling water to Dollar General. She seemed like she knew what she was talking about. After listening to someone mention she was involved with city council, I was a bit shocked. And you see, most of the official meetings I've attended in San Antonio are more stuffy. I'm just gonna call it stuffy. People commonly wear shirt and tie, dresses, jewelry, hairstyles, braid, heels, shiny shoes, hats, and look like they're dressed for work or even to walk into a courtroom, but not Miss Hasty. She wore pants, a t-shirt, a light coat or jacket, and boots. I believe her hair was in a ponytail. She casually blended right in with the rest of us in the audience. Surely they must have been wrong when they were saying she was a city employee. These meetings, I realized, were a complete song and dance. Our words didn't matter, and the only thing they wanted to do, especially at the second meeting, was keep Miss Hasty quiet. It left me wondering, why is this board so threatened by her? Please listen to Miss Hasty's response to a person who posts very disturbing things. She said, Miss Hasty said in the post, Penny Cozart Bateman, you may want to re-listen. I didn't say he accepted a bribe. I said one might have been offered. I did misspeak and that was made clear. In any case, I never said he took a bribe or accepted a $5,000 check. Since I took a picture of this around 11/17, I suspect Ms. Hastings sent this letter after the first meeting and before the second. She also addressed this at the second meeting as she read, Dear Board, first, I'll say that no matter what anyone says, please keep in mind this is the 3 minutes we're allotted. She said, Dear Board, first, I'll say that no matter what anyone says that wants to spread outright lies, I've never said that Nathan or anybody else accepted a $5,000 bribe, ever, anywhere, ever, period. Second, someone interrupts her 3 minutes. I absolutely did not. It's inaudible what they're saying. I never said that. I never said he accepted a $5,000 bribe. Someone else comes in and says, it's her time, while the person continues after interrupting, and Mr. Childers raises his hand for the person to stop. Miss Hasty continued, believe it or not, we don't have to be enemies, any of us. All we want is our voices heard. As citizens, we deserve to have our voices heard for y'all to fight like Texans and for transparency. That's the problem, no transparency. Y'all are not being transparent. That's why we have TOMA, the Texas Open Meetings Act. Miss Darcy was on point. She identified herself as a concerned citizen. She acted like a well-informed citizen. She exercised her First Amendment right to speak up like the rest of us and pointed out numerous TOMA violations. The second meeting is when Board President Don Bateman was completely out of line, making comments such as, I don't care, repeatedly, and saying, keep them coming, as he raised his hand. This is where I want to express my firm opinions as a woman and as a minority. In a day and time when people absolutely overuse and abuse their social statuses, and I cringe at expressing this because I'm completely aware of the abuse, I must say this was definitely a time when I felt abused for Miss Hastings. Mr. Bateman was completely out of line, and I wish he would have been reprimanded for his shameful and disgusting display of disrespect toward Miss Hastings. As we left the meeting, I asked my husband, was it just me? He looked at me and said no. I shared with him that that man totally tried to destroy her spirit because she's a woman.
Thank you, ma'am. For your information, folks, we have all been provided with both meetings, recordings of both meetings, so we really don't need to take it blow by blow. I think at this point, unless y'all have something else to say, we'll let Darcy have her say. Ms. Darcy?
Does anybody else really want to be heard before I speak? I'm gonna stand up because I feel better when I stand up.
You want to ask Jill to pass it?
Jill. Could you pass this out, please?
There were actually 3 meetings that y'all get to watch. I mean, it's like 9 hours of video, so I'm gonna make sure that y'all,
I just had the link to the audio and, I didn't listen to
yeah, the audio is not nearly as good as the video. And you can actually see and hear what was said,
Darcy,
so.
let's keep this, the complaint is about the meeting on 12/21.
Well, there's, stuff in the complaint that
Oh,
alludes
the
to
council meeting
the-
at 12/21.
So,
I
is there
don't
any
think
way
it's
for me
gonna
to
be the-
project anything up, Jill, for?
So we have the November,
Unless you put it on a flash drive, because we're on Zoom, so I can't, if I disconnect, it's gonna disconnect the cameras up there.
Alright, so I'll do this differently than I had planned, but I do have all of the video attached to every part of the complaint, so y'all can actually watch it. Good evening, council. I stand before you as I'm accused of violating City Code 1.03.255. The professional and personal conduct of city officials and employees must be above reproach and avoid even the appearance of impropriety. City officials and employees shall refrain from abusive conduct, personal charges, and verbal attacks upon the character of or motives of other city officials, and employees, board members, commission and committee members, and the public. First, Mr. Childers is not a member of any board, commission, or committee member. Mr. Childers was removed as a board member after holding his last position illegally, even when a huge part of his position at the Flying L PUD as a Flying L PUD administrator is to keep the board in good legal standing, which he also held at the same time as being on the board illegally. Although Mr. Childers introduced himself as the administrator of the PUD and made himself appear to be speaking on behalf of the PUD, Mr. Childers at no time has ever received permission from the Flying L PUD to make a complaint of any kind against me at any of their open meetings. Please hear as he answers the question when asked by actual board member June Baker about his actions. And I'm going to play that for y'all at least so you can hear the audio.
Darcy, just so you know, I did provide them links to all the meetings prior to the meeting.
Recording in progress.
If y'all can't hear it, I'll put it to the microphone. Can you see it?
There's doors or we're hearing. Do what? There's doors or we're hearing. The first one was Leslie and then June.
So I can skip to, so you don't have to wait.
I do have a comment, if nobody else does.
This is board member June Baker asking the question.
I was blindsided when you went before the city council on the grievance, and how did that come about? Steve?
I mean, you want to respond on it, right? Yeah. Well, it came about of the fact that we were so blindsided by the community and the city council people and other members of the community that it was just not right for people to be allowed to say whatever they want to. And we were accused of so many illegal activities that we had to spend money on lawyers in order to make sure we were.
Is
this regarding the validity of the complaint or the complaint itself?
This shows that he didn't have permission. This is not a PUD complaint. This is a complaint just from Mr. Childers himself. When it shows it all over media, so I especially want media, the crowd, and y'all to know this is not from the PUD. This is from Steve Childers himself, not the PUD.
well, he never said it was he identified himself as the administrator, but he never
Well,
said.
even the lady here,
Fine on
Jay,
behalf of the
it
PUD.
said that it was on behalf of the PUD. He didn't have permission to file a grievance or a complaint on behalf of the PUD.
Thank you, but as a citizen, he can.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yes.
the complaint is from an individual,
Mhm.
right, not from the PUD. And to be clear, and I know you know this, Darcy, but where is it? The conduct, yeah, the last three words,
Or against the citizen.
025.
Correct.
and the public, right? So his
I just want to
role-
make it clear that it has nothing to
Sure.
do with the PUD.
And neither does
It's
our,
not the
like, decision. Our decision isn't based on the PUD's actions, how the Flying L residents feel about their board, or any of that stuff, right? You understand that?
Sure.
So we have to deal with,
My
and-
actions.
and- right,
Sure.
right.
Jerry?
That's pretty much how I feel too. The PUD and Mr. Childers, I believe that's how you pronounce it, they're not, the complaint is not against them. So they should not be the focus, and I really don't need to take the time to listen to any of the internal disputes among PUD or their entity. It has nothing to do with the complaint that's been filed against you.
Duly noted. With this, I'll go point by point with Mr. Childers' so-called complaint and debunk or agree with each point he attempts to make.
Now, is that from the statement that he submitted?
Yes.
Okay, thank
Word
you.
for word. So I planned on having all of this up on the video or on the screens, but y'all don't have it. But if you see his complaint, which you're not gonna see the highlighted portions, because you don't have my copy. But you can see where Mr. Childers introduces himself as the administrator of the Flying L PUD, making himself appear to be speaking on their behalf. Mr. Childers further states that there's nothing.
Objection.
Wait,
Hang on,
Okay, you
Jerry.
just wasted more time.
Again, this is not about Mr. Childers' actions.
Well, it does. It goes to show you who he is and why he's doing this.
Well, his motive,
Does matter.
I don't think his motive is relevant. He made the complaint, not for the PUD, but for him, himself.
Well, so
He
y'all
was-
know
he
that
was-
it's not for the PUD. That's where I was going.
Understood,
Okay,
we all
thank you.
understand that now. Okay, we do all understand that.
So Mr. Childers further states that there's nothing we can do to stop them, speaking about the Dollar General. He is not a member of the board, but can decide how he votes. Y'all have to understand I typed this out and been typing it out for a week, so I don't know where to skip based on how y'all believe now, okay? Who knows if providing them water could have stopped them or not. They didn't try. However, voting to not provide them water would have at least most definitely slowed them down. Does slowing down?
Objection.
Well, that- you just-
Can I just
fully
read my?
object. It's
Can I
just-
just read my
Let her
statement?
finish her statement, okay?
However, voting to not provide them water would have at least definitely slowed them down, thus slowing down the developers' plan to at least attempt to subdivide the land commercially to be used for many businesses, not just the one and only hookup. This could quickly deplete the Flying L and Bandera County's water. The only reason I'm interested in this, my own reason, not a large agenda on behalf of anyone else, as I am a big picture kind of person and I can see past my own nose. In seeing that, I haven't partnered with anyone. I agree with more than 300 people that have signed a petition, including Mrs. Bateman, according to her own statement. But this does not mean that I'm partnered with them. As stated, I have my own reasons for joining this debate. Number one, in his so-called complaint. I do believe the PUD board to be in a heap of crap. I did say that, and I continue to believe that. They have and continue to violate the Texas Open Meetings Act, which is illegal. Although many times I have explained to them how to fix it, and that I was telling them how they were in violation and how to fix it. I told them I was not against them. and was trying to help them, yet they never took my advice. Number 2, I did hand every member of the board and Mr. Childers a prepared letter of resignation for the convenience and for the best of the community they're supposed to be serving. I never threatened to go to the Attorney General's office if they didn't immediately resign, as Mr. Childers again falsely accuses, and I have that on video ready to go if y'all want to see it. Number 3, I did misspeak when I was trying to explain that Mr. Childers told the developer to add an additional $5,000 to the original offer of $30,000, and that would get another board member to vote yes. That was immediately corrected as soon as it came out of my mouth. I have that on video as well. I also explained at the following meeting that I never said there was any personal bribe. I have that on video as well. Again, I have no partners in this thing except for that I try to do right by the community, and that is everyone in the surrounding area and even greater if I feel something is egregious enough for me to drive. If water isn't that, or our First Amendment rights aren't that, as well as transparency in our government, and those things aren't worthy of that, I don't know what is. Marshal Will Dietrich, who is a resident of the Flying L, was at the first meeting and was called forth by the board at least once as if he was there for security. And if I remember correctly, the board said he was there for security by saying, "That's why Will's here." The board is allowed to hire any peace officer within the state of Texas to do private security, and I never questioned the legality of a deputy marshal being there. Please see my video here for the beginning comments of this meeting. I did ask one question by raising my hand. You can see this here on a video that I have. However, I have found problems that will be addressed at another time as a city council person and not just a private citizen. So in that video, I don't know, did y'all hear that audio at all? Because that's important to me.
Yeah.
So I raised my hand, asked a question, was not rude, did not question legality of anything. So, to answer the accusation about me being introduced as a city council member. First of all, I was never introduced as a city council member at a PUD board meeting. Also, I cannot control how other people describe me or introduce me. However, Mr. Childers and Mrs. Bateman further the possible illegal activities of the PUD board due to their own words. While I never introduced myself as a city council member, nor did I state I was acting on behalf of the council, as a matter of fact, I repeatedly state that I was there as a concerned citizen. Please see the front page of the Bandera Bulletin, which I have a picture of, where they titled the picture article, "Flying L PUD Presents Grievance Against City Council Member," which is why it was a big deal to me to make sure that everybody understood he's not doing it on behalf of the PUD. And then another article by Mrs. Bateman, who is listed in the article as who is married to the Flying L PUD president, Don Bateman. The lies and half-truths said in the council meeting, writing in the so-called complaint, as well as the quotes given to the media by Mrs. Bateman and Mr. Childers, open them up to libel and slander. However, I am not litigious like Mr. Childers. Mr. Childers has a lengthy history of suing and threatening to sue. I have worked in criminal justice since I was 21 years old, and I'll let y'all do the math. I've been threatened to be sued more times than I'd like to count, so Mr. Childers' empty threats do not scare me. Should he decide to actually sue me, he can waste his money if he'd like. The city is in no danger whatsoever of being sued due to any of my actions. Mr. Childers would lose any lawsuit brought against the city or myself, like he lost the lawsuits against the King Ranch after he was fired. Mr. Childers threatened to sue the Flying L PUD when they voted to fire him once before, after he was found to have violated their own ethics policies. However, unlike the Bandera City Council, they have no backbone, and they folded to his threats, and although he violated their ethics policy, he was allowed to keep his job after he threatened to sue. His neighbors, he claims to care so much about. Next, Mr. Childers states the code of conduct of city officials in his complaint. I'd like to remind council, the only charge against me before you is section 1.03.255 that reads again as follows. Y'all have it before you, I'm not gonna read it again. Nowhere in the so-called complaint does he ever list where I was abusive. He does not accuse me of personal attacks against him, But I believe that I have a First Amendment right and a duty to bring forth misgivings of any board members or officials for the public to hear, and he has done me here today. There have been no verbal attacks upon his character or motives other than what I've just discussed. None of these are or were wrong, and given the same situation, I would do all of it again. Additionally, while Mr. Childers and his cohorts were doing research about the section or sections of city code that they believe I violated, they should have found this section. Please write it down so y'all can look it up. 1.03.033, titled Council Member Participation in Community Activities, which reads as follows. From time to time, council members may choose to participate in community activities, committees, events, and task force. While a council member participates in these types of activities, the council member is acting as an interested party rather than acting on behalf of city council. Acting or participating on behalf of the city council is limited to those instances when the city council has formally designated the council member as its representative for the matter. That ordinance 361 was adopted 6/6/19. Since I never represented myself as being at any PUD meeting on behalf of the city at any time, there is no reason for y'all to find that I did anything wrong today. Lastly, Mr. Childers says the saddest thing is when she read a statement from Colonel Travis comparing the fight against Dollar General and the Flying L PUD with that of the Alamo. Her sole intent being to further incite the crowd and raise the emotional temperature of the community. He also stated that he has the recordings of all of this. He has stated in other meetings that he has listened to those recordings over and over again, so I know that Mr. Childers has seen and heard what you all will hear, and I am going to play that for y'all. After watching this video, I hope you saw and heard what I actually said, and that's what I hope that the board would do, and that's to fight the Dollar General by not giving them water. A board member, as well as Steve, asked more than once what we wanted them to do, so that was my response. We want you to put up a fight. I quoted Colonel William Barrett Travis, my hero, in his letter from the Alamo, where he wrote the following. The enemy has demanded a surrender at discretion. Otherwise, the garrison are to be put to the sword. If the fort is taken, I have answered the demand with a cannon shot, and our flag still waves proudly from the walls. I shall never surrender or retreat. It was then that I explained that we are all from the same stock of Texan that these men were from, and we expected them to act as such. That's what we wanted. I was not in any way attempting to incite the crowd or raise the emotional temperature of the community. Rather, I was attempting to raise the emotional temperature of the board and get them to act with passion and fervor as the community demanded. Instead, the board took it as a personal challenge against those who did not immediately agree with them. I ask that you all remember that I was not acting as a council member. I have a right to attend public meetings as a citizen, and I have my First Amendment rights as an American citizen, a proud Texan. I ask that you not set a terrible precedent here by punishing someone for exercising those rights. Thank you for your time. And I do want to play that video for y'all.
Council, she's playing a video. I can't really hear it from down there.
How long is it?
Not long, sir.
Those are all things that they are supposed to have.
All that he told me this morning.
And I want to get y'all riled up because when we talk about
Does that work?
Joseph.
Or does this thing on?
What's in it and why do we care and why don't we give up? Because I come from the same stock that fought at the Alamo. I come from people like William Barrett Travis, okay? These are the people that I come from, the people that fought at the Alamo. And this is just part of the letter that William Barrett Travis wrote when he was staring down thousands of Mexicans at the Alamo. And he said, the enemy has demanded a surrender at discretion. Otherwise, the garrison are to be put to the sword. If the fort is taken, I have answered the demand with a cannon shot, and our flag still waves proudly from the walls. I shall never surrender or retreat. That's why we fight. That's why I'm here.
damn it, if we don't do anything else, we fight. And $35,000 isn't worth integrity. It's not worth saying, come on to Bandera and take what you want and do what you want. If the public doesn't want it, if the people don't want it, if your neighbors don't want it, don't give in. Don't surrender, don't retreat, because by God, you're a Texan. That's fine. Yeah.
Can I ask Darcy a question?
Yes. Darcy?
Darcy, I'm sorry, I don't know which meeting that was. Was that the 11th, or 11/8?
That was the very first meeting, the meeting, the complaints in regards to. He, that's in the formal complaint where they say that I incited people to violence.
I was here.
Yeah, and I'm just, so can you just put it real quick for me on hour 1 minute 11 second 45? There's a lot of conflict around the way you introduce yourself. I know you're telling me that you never introduce yourself as a council member.
I don't know what you're talking, I don't have the same stuff y'all have, I don't think.
The, from your video, just can you put it to hour, is that what I'm seeing here? Hour 1 minute 11 45 second. This is the first.
By complaining or asking me to look into.
It's in two different parts, so let me get to the, see how long the first one is.
Would this be like the first time we hear Darcy speaking, I think?
Well, she actually spoke there
Right,
at
but
8
just to
minutes.
say that.
And you said it was about 1 hour and what?
1 hour 11 minute 45 second.
Pleading with you as our elected representative. Someone said, we gave you the power, we did.
Modify the site lighting, this. And.
Community and Dollar General.
And the agreement.
The privacy and meeting, but
Because safety coming in and out of the facility.
Sorry, see that I have my hand up, I'm waiting until I get up.
get all those away. I got an idea.
Hold on, Darcy's been waiting.
Okay.
I have two things. So first, it doesn't matter about the concessions, and I'll tell y'all why. The city had the hotel, the Best Western, sign all these concessions before the Best Western could build, right? The Best Western looks okay in my opinion downtown. I was part of that, but whatever. However, we're still fighting with them because they don't have the downward lighting with the cover over it, and that even breaks our city ordinances. They're supposed to have local plants and stuff like that. They don't have that. They're supposed to have Western motif on the stuff. They don't have that. They're supposed to have porous asphalt. They don't have that. So those are all things that they are supposed to have, all signed by lawyers on both sides, all part of their tax statement. They don't have it. They don't give a damn. Okay? So Dollar General, just because we have something in an email, aren't going to give a damn. So we can quit even talking about that and wasting all of our time and go to bed. So to me, the concessions
She wanted
stand
1 hour, 11
This is
minutes.
Most of us are all Texans.
I'm sorry.
Yes. I'm a very proud Texan.
Hang on, everybody, this whole thing boils down to is whether Darcy represented herself as
That's the only
representative of
time
council.
I didn't.
I mean, we don't need to hear who said what about what, it's all about whether Darcy represented herself as speaking for council. Or
And
as
that
acting,
time-
or as acting
Yes, ma'am.
0255 as a council member and being disrespectful.
Ma'am,
And that timeline, that 1 hour, 11 minutes and 45 seconds is where she speaks, saying she's on city council, but does not say she's at this meeting as a citizen. That's why Rebecca was asking her to play that timeline back.
And
Okay.
I'm not trying to play a game of gotcha, Darcy. And ma'am, I don't mean to contradict you, but that is not the only point here, because the specific complaint, it refers to, refraining from abusive conduct, personal charges, or verbal attacks on the character or motives of members of the public in this case.
Okay, but may I just,
Acting as a
as
council
a,
member.
as a
I
council
understand.
member, if she was not on council, this wouldn't even be an issue. I mean, it would be a shit show, but it wouldn't be an issue, you know. So that's what we need to focus on, council, is not who said what about whom, or
I have
what
an
was
easy way
implied,
to-
or what, but
I've got
happened.
it, right, now.
Jerry?
Right, I agree. But this also does come into play, our section 1.03.266 advocacy. I could read the whole section on that. Its city officials and employees shall represent the official policies or position of the city council, board, commission, or committee to the best of their ability when designated as delegates for this purpose. When presenting their individual opinions and positions, city officials and employees shall explicitly state they do not represent their body or the city, nor will they allow the inference that they do. Can you show me where you actually stated that you are there not as city council, but as a,
I can show y'all in a picture.
but as a
Look at
citizen?
the shirt that I'm wearing.
Oh, no.
Nope, but give me a minute.
If you can, sure.
See the shirt I'm wearing?
You got your arms, hold on.
Audra, would you stand, please? Marion, would you stand, please? Do y'all see the shirt
Yeah,
they're wearing?
I'm familiar with
Okay,
the shirt.
that's a group that I'm in. If I'm wearing.
But you must explicitly state.
I do
So
multiple
the
times.
shirt
If you're
doesn't
gonna
do me
listen to
good.
3 hours of the thing, you can. I say it multiple times. So I'm not gonna wear that shirt to something that I'm going to.
But we can't see that shirt on an audio.
I'm showing you the video, Jerry.
That has nothing to do with the audio. What you actually said. It doesn't, I mean, not everybody can see a picture, and that doesn't state how you explicitly stated
I'm
that
wearing
you were
this
a
shirt
citizen.
to the meeting that everybody can see, and there was a whole group of us
That
wearing
doesn't
that same
address
shirt.
our section 1.03.266, where you must state
I'm not
that
being
you are
charged with
not
that.
there, huh?
I'm not being charged with that today.
We are, we can bring it up. We can bring up any of these charges on code of conduct that we would like, if we feel that you were inappropriate.
Okay, can we have a recess for 20 minutes so I can find some spots for Jerry where I adamantly say multiple times that I'm not on city council or representing city council?
I
didn't know I was gonna have to jump through 30 hoops for Jerry today, I'm sorry.
I
I
don't
should've.
think it's just for me.
Rebecca,
Okay.
have the floor.
Okay. This is a really difficult position for you, Darcy, and for all of us as well. And I think that,
It's not hard for me, it's pretty easy.
well, I mean, I don't envy the position that you're in at this moment, is what I'm trying to say. You know, we have these liaison appointments where we are sanctioned by the council to be that corresponding person to bring a link between the council and certain other community organizations, and I think you are really an incredible community advocate in all the things that you do, and I see that. Now, that doesn't mean I have your style in the way I do things, and I really do appreciate the specific effort. But we all know that we have to walk a really thin line and really provide a lot of clarity when we attend these things. And I'm not here saying that you didn't do that. And I think that, what? Are you making comments? I thought I heard you. Yeah. I think that what we need to just really get down to is how do we move forward from here and what's satisfactory for everyone. And we all have to really think about our roles and how we move forward. I don't know what anybody else wants to come from this. I wasn't at that meeting. I don't know what it looked like or felt like. We have varying opinions about how it all went down, and I would just like to know how everyone proposes that we move forward, and what exactly, if anything, we wanna ask of Darcy, or not. Maybe we need to all ask some things of ourselves as well.
I'd like to say something if it's
Okay, Darcy.
I had 5 or 6 people in this room say that I never represented myself as speaking on behalf of City Council. I'm sitting here telling you, giving you my word, that I never represented myself as a member of City Council, because I didn't. Now, is it common knowledge that I'm a member of City Council? Absolutely it is. But I never went in there and represented myself as a member of City Council. I was not given permission by this council to go in there and act on behalf, nor would we give permission for someone to go act on behalf of City Council to something like the Flying L PUD. I don't see any reason why we would do that. I was there on my own behalf and on behalf of we the women, because that's what we do, is go to public meetings. We do that to all of the public meetings. I did not act on behalf of City Council of Bandera. I'm involved in many, many other things, as all of you know. I had no reason to go in there and act on behalf of City Council. This is all a ginned up hoax. It's all it is.
Jerry?
Could you address the post on social media? And I know you stated that you're very careful on social media to never imply or infer that you're City Council, but I have a post by you, and I could read it if you'd like. I'll start off. They're just outside the ETJ. Yes, ma'am. The half-mile mark.
That's not by me.
hers, that's by
No,
her,
that's
by Lynn
that's
Harder.
her quote, and that's
No,
her
no, no.
signature
You
below
said
there.
it was a post by Darcy Hasty.
Well,
It's
the
clearly-
original post. If there's a comment.
Nobody in this audience can see
Okay.
theoretical. Tell them who
It's a
posted it
comment.
and tell
But
them
it's
what
a
they said.
comment.
Absolutely.
all right.
Okay, a comment by Darcy.
And it's not
No,
On a
it's a
PUD.
hearsay by, the post.
This is not a hearsay. This is signed by Darcy.
Okay,
Signature.
That's her name
I'm
on
gonna
there.
read this to you,
She put
folks.
that on there.
Why? That's
Stop
not
it.
by me. I haven't even read it.
Don't get so protective.
All right, Lynn, H-A-U-E-T-E-R.
Protective of facts.
right,
Excuse
Protective
me.
of, did
Come
you
on,
hear?
Hi,
let me
Jack.
read it. Moderator, October 15th, 2021. Now, I don't know which social looks like Facebook. I can't tell you. This was posted on another group page by Bandera City Council member Hasty. She is going to try and attend our Sunday meeting. I'm sharing here for our Flying L community. Please keep respectfully asking our PUD members to rescind their vote to sell water to DG, Dollar General. Then this is reposted, Darcy?
I don't know. This is the first time I'm seeing this. I
Okay.
can't see stuff posted on the Flying L
No,
POA websites and stuff like that.
Suzanne, may I please?
Yes.
The woman who created this post, what I'm gathering, is alleging that she copied and pasted this from your post on another
That's all I've read
page.
so far. So I don't know whether she did or not.
Okay,
But that's
okay.
That's how
That's what it
that's how I
said.
took
Okay.
it.
So this is the first time I'm seeing
Okay.
this.
They are just outside the ETJ, the half-mile mark. The PUD did vote to sell them water, but they are working on turning those vote back now that the citizens have begun to make their minds heard. The citizens of Flying L have to be on the forefront of this. There are a lot of us willing to fight this fight, but the people with the most skin in the game must show they don't want it. Now, this is highlighted, this is what we're looking at. I will say that as someone on the city council, I hate the idea of a Dollar General being at the very entrance to our beautiful city, then a Tractor Supply next. This does not show what we want in our community, in our county, I'm sorry, and we must stop it now. Change is coming, but now is the time where we decide what kind of change we want and what we will allow as we grow. Signed, Bandera City Councilwoman Hasty. This is what is before us now. Rebecca.
What I'm reading in Darcy's opinions that she's stating here, and I think she's free to say that she is a city council member, have been discussed thoroughly in open meetings and have gained consensus on this council for the desire to prevent chain stores and development of this nature. We just worked for months on a new comprehensive master plan that specifically tries to eliminate development like this. And while Darcy's style is different than mine and maybe different than yours and yours and yours, and I mean, I've seen Facebook posts from other council members that make this one, you know, seem like nothing, you know. But we do also, and I think Darcy specifically, because of her advocacy channels, that she's going to take her knowledge and skills and experience and apply them where she chooses to in her life. And I'm not seeing any. Honestly, I'm just not seeing anything that shows me a direct line between her behavior and a violation of the code.
This particular post, what I point out is she's not saying we, she's simply saying I hate
happen to be.
that's coming. And that's an expression of her opinion. Of course, we've discussed that openly in meetings.
I mean, this is my opinion, but I did not put this on social media. But this is my opinion. I will say this is my opinion, but I did not put that on social media. I just checked my stuff. I haven't deleted it. That is not something I put on social media. Although it's my right to do.
I guess one of the main things that sticks with me is the advocacy. That I know that I've been instructed by our city attorney that if you are going to speak as a citizen, that you need to be very explicit, and our own ordinance even says that, for example, I am a council member, but I'm here as a citizen to speak, not as a council member. And that kind of covers you on everything. And I found nowhere throughout any of the meetings where you ever stated that. But you did mention that you were a council member. But you didn't say you were not here as a council member, that you were there only as a citizen. And I've got several timelines where you spoke, and not once did you ever express that following.
I can, if you give me a few minutes, I can.
Sure.
I've got it.
I'm more than happy to.
There's 9
But I also
hours
have
of
those
meetings. I've
times
got
where
it.
Give me your time.
you did speak, and
Let me just.
that's why we asked you if you could pull up that 1 hour,
Well, if
11
you would
minutes,
ask me
and 45
yesterday,
seconds.
I didn't see this
There's 9
timeline
hours.
thing before now, Darcy, but, and I think if I.
Go ahead.
I'm hearing Jerry, correct me if I'm wrong, say it needs to be front and center, the first thing you say. Yes, I happen to be on the city council, but I am not here in that capacity. I am here as a private citizen. So while you may have said throughout the meeting, I'm just here as a citizen, if there was some impression, I don't know. And maybe that's their fault. So the complaint is hinging on her saying I'm a council member, but ignoring the fact that she said throughout the meeting, I'm here as a citizen. I don't know.
But I
This
did
is
not hear any
obviously
of
a
that.
very contentious
Yeah, I
topic.
didn't hear any of that.
So what? You
That's
got
all.
1412, Jerry. Let me see what you got here. There's a lot going on here.
All right, we're gonna go to Darcy.
So, my first thing before, my time starts is I would like to see everybody's certificates that y'all have actually taken.
Okay.
The test of the meetings.
So she doesn't present herself as a council member the first time she
Oh,
speaks.
here we go.
But that's
I just
not
needed
what
to-
our,
Listen to what Darcy has to say, please. She found something else she wants to listen to.
Within the ATJ. So I don't mean.
Well, and it's also, Dorsey, on this stuff that.
I just wanted, not as a city council member, but as a citizen.
And that's just one of
One.
at least 10.
but there were so many times you spoke, you never did that in the
Okay, I
beginning
can't
or
win with you,
throughout.
Jerry.
Oh,
Vote to
sure.
convict.
Vote to what?
Convict.
allowed to say something? We were here. No, but
Wow.
it's up to the director of the meeting.
again, this is not gonna be a debate. We're not gonna hear opinions. We have the facts. The question is, what is the question? You know,
Good question.
there's been a complaint that Darcy allegedly represented herself as a member of as a council member, speaking for council. This back and forth between the complainant, the ridiculousness that I see. We're here because of this complaint. The complaint is based on Darcy acting as a council member, and I think that's what we need to discuss and move on and get this moving. Jerry?
Are we gonna have the opportunity to hear from Mr. Childers, since he's the complainant?
We did hear from him last meeting.
We've already heard from
We've
him.
already heard of him, 2 meetings
But
ago.
I don't think that he had the opportunity to present
Well, we're
anything.
still speaking to, they're witnesses to the
I'm
event.
asking.
We don't need to
Okay,
see,
don't
we
attack
don't need
me.
any more witnesses. We've all been given the audio.
Yeah,
This is what he presented to us. And he had the opportunity with
Well,
everybody else earlier.
but she's presenting a lot more than what we had
But
from
what
her.
can he possibly
I'm just
present, Jerry?
asking, does he have anything that else he would like to present? I don't know.
Can he point a?
I mean, does
a
he have
particular-
times? That's what I'm saying. Does he have anything else he would like to?
I don't want to hear any more bashing of anybody about anything. You
Did
know,
I bash?
No, what
Okay.
I'm saying is I don't want to hear she said, he said, and he said
Yeah.
again.
No, I think it
This
needs
is
to
not
be
to hear-
relevant to the complaint.
The complaint, he said she acted as a council person. Yes? And
He's
she
shaking
was-
his head
and
no,
she was
so
abusive and she was rude.
that's why I say, does he have an opportunity to speak?
If he raises his hand and the director
Okay.
of the meeting calls
I don't
on
know
him,
that
then
he knew that he
yes.
could,
Tony,
so that's why I'm giving him the opportunity.
I'd like to hear from Tony.
As
She
a
has the
council
floor.
member, I'm
Tony
asking.
has the floor.
My
Yes, Tony.
my voice is deep, but it's not that deep. So, just to recap, we got a complaint 2 meetings ago in visitors' comments where they came and addressed the council, where anybody can address the council with anything that they want to bring to our attention. It was disturbing for me personally to hear, and there was another person that spoke and supported the same stance that Mr. Childers had, that she felt very disturbed by what all of this has done to their community at Flying L. Most of the complaints by those 2 people, that they perceived that it was mostly enticed by Darcy, that it was what she said, what she did, that's what she accused, what she allegedly, whatever, and they all knew she was on city council, and they believed that she was there representing city council and wanted us to pay their bills. So, that was said, that they wanted us to pay the bill. You said, here's the bill for our expenses? Okay, because you're looking at me like you didn't hear that too.
I chaired that meeting.
She chaired that one.
Oh, that's right. I was like, okay, you were looking at me
There's a
like, okay,
video.
were you, okay, all right, thank you. That's right, I forgot about it. You were not, you were absent. So, so that led me to believe that we, as a council, need to at least follow up on this. It is clear by people that we have been submitted letters, on people from the audience that chose to come and speak. The perception of who she was and who she represented is all over the board. So it's clear that Darcy found one place where she's saying as many, that she said that she is on council, but she does not represent the council. She was wearing a t-shirt. Clearly she felt as though she did enough. Apparently it was not enough, because there was perception that you were there representing the council. That disturbs me greatly. But I say something on Facebook, and I say nothing about me being on council, nothing on my Facebook page about me being on council. It doesn't even say where I live on council, on Facebook. And I constantly get accused of my opinion being an awful misrepresentation of council. So I certainly understand what you're saying, because people are very particular about that. So what we are here as, not just to hear Mr. Childers' complaint, but to hopefully learn from this There is a code of conduct that we expect from the council, regardless of hearsay, regardless of what somebody said she said on Facebook, and all of a sudden we're presenting it as fact. None of that matters. The bottom line is that our community is on two different sides, and it has to do with one of our board members. And if we state she was at the meeting, she said maybe once or twice that she was representing council, but maybe it wasn't heard by all. Let's just rule.
Was not.
Was or wasn't. I mean, wasn't that she said it, but it wasn't heard by everybody, or was heard by some, or whatever. But the thing is that what are we going to do with what Mr. Childers has stated and what, according to the code of conduct, which we could just disregard what Mr. Childers has presented and go completely as a board and state, this is what we want going forward. If you were to find in your situation, decide what we're going to do with Darcy. But this bantering back and forth is a waste of time, and it's ridiculous. And I'm over the hearsay, and I'm over the lynching. So thank you for the floor.
You're welcome, Tony. I honestly don't see any reason to do anything except council to make a motion, take some action, take no action, move forward. I think this is and I can certainly see how Tony, you're absolutely right. You don't have to say, I'm on council. People know that we're on council. People know that, and they may see you and think, or it's inferred, and even though it's not inferred, you know, they may feel like you're talking for council, and that's something that we all need to get past. The turmoil, I think Rebecca said it well, that your style is upfront, straight out of your mouth, but you do think, you know. And I think that if nothing else comes out of this, we will all think more carefully about our future public presentations or attendances, or how we respond and reflect on how we can better improve ourselves. Council, I don't know if you want to take action.
I think we should deliberate with our attorney. We have the opportunity to do that. I would like to think.
Dan, that's a pretty fine line.
If she has legal questions, you can go back in closed session.
Legal questions, yes, but not as far as deliberations.
Right.
So,
I don't know what her questions are, Mayor.
I'm deliberating about legal questions.
okay.
Does that help?
All right, under 551071, consultation with attorney, I'm I'm recessing the regular meeting at 7:36. We're going back into executive session, folks. If y'all would step out of the room, council will be consulted with attorney. Okay, at 7:57, I'm reconvening the regular session of the city council meeting. Rebecca?
Thank you. Am I allowed discussion, or would you prefer a motion?
I would like a motion,
Okay.
a second, and then discussion.
Okay, my motion is that the complaint against Councilmember Darcy Hasty is not substantiated, and that she was not in violation of City Code 1.03255.
Second, Tony. Discussion? Yes.
Thank you. I don't want to repeat myself from earlier, but what I would like to say and to add is that it might do the entire council well, all of us, not excluding anyone, to organize a code of ethics conduct workshop or training that we can move forward with the rules that we enacted cohesively. We do live in a small community. We're all involved in different boards and with different political interests and different conservation efforts and advocacies. And we like to use our knowledge and skills and apply them outside of this, and that would just benefit the community and us.
Okay. Further discussion? The motion is that the Complaint is not sustained. All in favor? Christine, Tony, Rebecca are in favor. Opposed? Jerry's opposed, and of course Darcy abstained. All right, thank you. Do we know if Rob Brown is out there in the cosmos someplace?
I'm on the telephone. I'm getting ready to call him on the telephone.
Is it Rob or is it Scotty Scott?
This is Eric, gentleman named Eric.
Is this the
That's
matter
it,
for
closed
closed
session.
session?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, folks, so one more time, they are available, they are ready,
Can we,
Should we just
Go.
wait till the next meeting?
can we do?
because I want to get into the second closed session and get that behind us.
I would actually prefer, can we move into item 7 and get through what we're gonna get through tonight?
Well, these people are,
They're not on.
Okay.
they're not on, so we'll just skip them?
Yeah, so see if we can do these real quick and maybe we can try to get a hold of them.
We can come back to item.
I'd like to get
Okay, let's
firm.
come back to item
That's what we're
5.
talking about. Yes, that's what I said.
Okay.
Definitely,
We're done with item 6,
For now.
for now.
we're not going to do the P. Item 7, discussion of possible action on the following items. A, discussion and possible action on the approval of a request from the Bandera Fire and Rescue for the use of City Park beginning Friday, September 23rd, 2022, through the morning of Sunday, September 25th, 2022, for the annual Barbecue and Fireman's Challenge fundraising event. Jerry?
I'd like to make a motion.
Yes, sir.
I move that we approve the request from Bandera Fire and Rescue for the use of City Park beginning Friday, September 23rd, 2022, through the morning of Sunday, September 25th, 2022, for the annual Barbecue and Fireman's Challenge fundraising event.
Rebecca, second.
We all
Discussion? All in favor?
Unless they wanted to speak on behalf of their agenda item.
What to say? We're
I want
done.
to say thank you for last year. We thought it was a huge success. We raised over with our intended goal, so thank you very much. We hope next year will be, even better.
Thank y'all for watching.
See you there.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for all you do.
All right,
All in favor?
moving on.
All
And
in
thank you
favor?
for this last
Take a
weekend.
vote. Take a
Yes.
vote.
You're most welcome.
We already took a vote.
I didn't raise my hand, I asked to hear from them.
You seconded
Sorry.
it, it was assumed. You can do it again, take a vote again.
All in favor again?
Thank you.
All in favor, none opposed. Thank you. Item B, discussion and possible action on appointing of a Bandera Economic Development Corporation nominee to fill a vacancy. We have a resignation, but it's not on the agenda to accept this resignation. Dan, is that a technicality?
Yeah, because they serve at your pleasure anyway, so
Okay then.
you can, go ahead.
We can remove under the language
Yeah, you
on
can-
the agenda?
So you're saying you don't have a vacancy?
We do, somebody resigned, but we haven't accepted her resignation yet officially, and it's not on here.
Alright. Yeah, that's not ideal.
It's not ideal. May we please table this item to the next meeting, the
Yes.
next regular
Wait,
meeting?
can-
Sorry,
Is council able to appoint someone
No, if there's not.
to fill
Once.
a future vacancy?
Okay, the next regular meeting is February 1st. Item C, discussion of possible action on a resolution appointing Christine Watkins Punty as city treasurer. David?
Yes, ma'am. Christy is, we conducted multiple interviews, about 7 people. Christy was one that floated to the top, and so I wanted to present her to the city council for further consideration to appoint her as the treasurer for the city of Bandera. She has former municipal government experience. She's a knowledge of Municode, which is a system software that we use for financing. And she answered all questions by our contract finance person, who was also sitting on the panel and confirmed with us that we thought she was the best candidate.
Thank you. Rebecca?
may I make a motion?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Christy Watkins Prunty as city treasurer per city administrator's recommendation.
Thank you. And everybody wants a second at Darcy, second.
Yes, ma'am.
Discussion?
Thank you, David, and whoever else interviewed.
All in favor? All in favor, none opposed. Welcome aboard.
Is she here?
I don't know.
I think she's on the body. She hadn't run yet?
She hung in there. Might be a good sign.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome. That Christie. Okay. D, discussion and possible action on requesting $42,500 from the Bandera Economic Development Corporation for 1/2 principal payment for the Texas Water Development Board loan for the drinking water state revolving fund. This is one of our projects that is an ongoing project. Rebecca, have her hand up first. Rebecca.
Move to approve the city council's request as stated.
Thank you. Jerry,
I'll second that.
Discussion?
And this is, you're just requesting part of the money that we already budgeted for the city, correct? This
Yes,
is
ma'am.
part of that stuff
This is
that
part
was
of that
originally
stuff
the
that was
request.
originally
I just wanted clarification. I thought that's what it was, but I just wanted to
Yes,
clarify.
ma'am. It's just to get it, a
Yeah, the
specific
official,
line item.
right. Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, further discussion? All in favor? All in favor, none opposed. Okay, item E, discussion of possible action on an ordinance amending Chapter 3, Article 3.02, Technical and Construction Codes and Standards of the Bandera Code of Ordinance, adopting updated codes, and in local amendments, I would look to table this, council.
That's what I was going to
Yes,
ask, please, next regular meeting.
Becca, 2-1.
Second.
Tony, second. Discussion. All in favor? All in favor, none opposed. Thank you, Christine. Item F, discussion and direction regarding amending the personnel policy of the city of Bandera to include a policy for the use of city resources
Thank
by
y'all.
off-duty employees. Tony?
I'd like to table this motion, this agenda
Thank you.
item.
Second, Darcy.
Sorry, you need more than a head nod.
Discussion. All in favor? All in favor, none opposed. G, discussion and direction on regulation of short-term rentals as a land use and the implementation of residential versus commercial utility rates for short-term rentals. Jerry,
I move to table this item.
thank you. Rebecca,
Second,
discussion?
yes, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Request a workshop on this specific item. I think it is going to take a meeting in and of itself. Or we could meet ahead of the regular meeting with that for a workshop.
Okay, we'll figure that
It
one
could
out.
take a massive hunk of a meeting time.
All in favor? Tony?
Abstain.
You can abstain? Okay. Tony abstains. Item H, discussion of possible action on a resolution amending the 380 agreement incentive, the 380 economic incentive agreement with Beth Western. Rebecca?
Move to table to the 1st of
Thank you.
February.
Jerry, second.
Oh.
Discussion?
Oh,
Yeah, Dan.
really, can we not do that, please? Can we,
On
this
this
is
one?
a very basic amendment. We've already
Okay.
had conversations with the hotel as directed by council in the fall, and we are coming up
Thank you.
on their deadline to submit the yearly report with this new deadline.
May I revoke my motion?
Yes. Do you want to move forward? So, as you know, the deadlines were kind of off kilter to report for the prior year when the report was required in September. So,
So what, real quickly, it's a very basic amendment that we're asking for. It just changes that date from September to March,
Okay.
because the way the attorney who drafted that agreement drafted it was for a calendar year, but they had you reporting, it's the preceding calendar year, and the reports were due in September. So the report that they did for you in September in 2021 should have reflected 2020, because the contract says the preceding calendar year. Well, that is not what they've been trying to do. That's not what y'all wanted them to do. So the answer to that is to move that reporting deadline to March for the preceding year. And so what our conversations with them was that, look, everything you submitted, updated through the end of the calendar year 2021, submitted to the council if they approve this by March 1st, and then you will get your payments based upon a full calendar year as was intended when it was drafted. And so, what all this, that's all this changes, this addendum that you're approving is just that, and it has nothing to do with the other agreements that they have, it has nothing to do with economic development, that's between the Economic Development Corporation attorney and them if they want to do anything with their agreements. And this has nothing to do with the marketing. You know, they submitted you a marketing plan, if it was correct under the terms of the agreement, they're due their marketing dollars. This is just dealing with the 380 provisions. They're going to get that to us along with the proposal with the outstanding items in that attachment, which I believe is still gonna boil all the way down to just the shielded lighting. But this amendment has nothing to do with that, which is just the date, so that we can actually get them paid for 2021.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Dan, thank you.
I'd like to make a motion.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the resolution amending the 380 Economic Incentive Agreement with Best Western as we have from our attorney.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Tony,
Second.
discussion? All in favor? All in favor, none opposed. Okay, item I, discussion of possible action on a resolution authorizing the city administrator to execute an interlocal agreement with TML Health Benefits Pool. Jill, you want to, go ahead. Darcy?
You need to talk about it or
No.
Okay. I would like to make a motion.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve a resolution authorizing the city administrator to execute an interlocal agreement with TML Health Benefits Pool.
Thank you. Rebecca? Thank you. Discussion? All in favor? All in favor, none opposed. Okay. Item 8, requested announcements. Request by council to place items on an agenda.
Let's go back to 6. We want to go back up to whatever our closed session
Are we
is.
going back to 5B?
Are they even around? Did those people
Did we
show back
find
up
them?
again?
To go for
I'll
the,
call him on the phone, he's standing by on the phone. He's standing by for a phone call,
You're standing
So
by
we're
for a
ready.
phone call.
yes.
yeah.
Okay, then, I guess we'll adjourn back into executive
Do you
session.
want to just finish item 8 with the public here, and
Yes,
then the last
let's do
thing?
A and B and get that behind
Okay.
us.
Sorry.
Future
I did that.
agenda, we've got quite a good agenda going already with this one. No other requests? Item B, announcement by council.
Oh,
To accept the resignation of.
Sir?
Yes, thank
We
you.
got that.
yeah, we've got it.
We've got that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, are you on announcements?
Yes, ma'am.
I have one.
Yes, ma'am.
We were able to secure a letter from Representative Andrew Murph for our grants, and that's been forwarded to Mr. Jordan to go with our grants when they kind of kick it back. They always kick back grants to be able to send it back with the rest of our representatives. So we've got letters from each one of our representatives to help us out to get our grants. So hopefully that helps eke us over the finish line if we needed any eking. So.
Thank you.
I'd like David to articulate the milestone that we met regarding the grants, the recent one this last week, if you'd like to just kind of make an announcement of what that meant to us.
Yeah, sure, January 14th was the deadline to submit the grants. We submitted hazard mitigation grant program, which we get 2 terms, 2 looks, basically 2 opportunities to be awarded grant money through that program. And then we had the EDA, was Economic Development Association, which is a 3rd grant program. We met all the criteria, and we made the deadlines for submitting all the paperwork, for that. So April and July, we should be getting some good news on grant funding.
And this is
we're looking at-
specific, I'm sorry, go ahead.
This is for the wastewater treatment plant. We're looking to collect $15 million is the total price for land allocation and relocation and rebuilding the wastewater treatment plant. So
Big deal.
That is
Thank you.
good work, team.
Absolutely. Anything else, council? All right, with that being said, 8:13,
No, ma'am.
I'm going to recess. I'm going to recess. I'm going to recess the regular meeting. 8:23, reconvening the regular meeting. Item B, any action required from closed session. Item 5B, this was a no action item. Information only. I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Darcy, Adjourn, second, Christine. Discussion, all in favor, none opposed. 8:03.